Yeah, it's so strange when you look at what happened in 21 because, you almost have to evaluate two different teams because once TBD got established and got rolling, it's just a different offense and he was a different deal. Alabama's almost a different deal in trying to evaluate what happened. That game got out of hand. But everybody else, if you're looking at the ACC, this team was good enough to beat what are probably the two best teams on the schedule in the ACC. They beat NC State and they beat Pitt. And then they figure out how to lose five of their games. Well, of course, Alabama, Michigan State turned out to be really, really good, better than what we knew at that point. But lose three other games in the ACC to whoever, Virginia and FSU, and who was the other one? North Carolina, of course. Yeah. So that's the way this past season. At least they didn't get manhandled by any of those teams. Now, if you go back, everything since 2017, anytime they've played anybody really good, they got kicked in the teeth. Clemson, North Carolina, etc. It's really been since that back-to-back against Virginia Tech and Notre Dame in 17 that they played like serious competition and they played well.
Yeah, because I think the NC State and Pitt weren't they like a week away from each other too? They were in close proximity at least.
Yeah.
We all went in with just like, hey, I hope the team fights, but I was like, whoa, all right, cool, and the North Carolina game that kind of hurt. I can't lie to you, that one hurt mainly because we fought back in that game, and when the Miami Hurricanes come out, the thing that was really hurtful under the last regime was that they would come out and like drag their feet and then they eventually catch a stride and then they want to go. And sometimes it wasn't enough time to do so. But we'll see. We'll see what they're going to bring to the table. It's going to be off of grit and determination, not off of trash talk. I tell you that much.
What was kind of strange about the Virginia game is that Virginia has one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they've got weapons on offense. They scored a zillion points, but they also gave up a zillion points, and they really didn't play that kind of game against Virginia. You would have thought that, the defense played really well in containing that passing offense, a guy that threw for like 4,500 yards, Brendan Armstrong, but the offense should have been much better. BYU scored 66 points against Virginia. Like North Carolina scored in the 50s again. Everybody dismantled that defense except Miami.
Yeah, and I don't like to spend too much time on the past, but it's a fact, and it's the truth. And I still say to this day, I say 10-2. I've said that multiple times, but my 10-2 doesn't mean we lose to A&M and Clemson. My 10-2 is that we split one of those two. For me, the more important one would be Clemson. Sure. Losing to A&M, I understand, but getting that Clemson off our backs, especially an in-conference team, Mark, for all we know, us beating them could kick them out the championship. Who knows? But that would be monumental, and it's a late season win. Okay, those early season wins, it's like, heck, you look at the Oregon team, our head coach now, they went into the horseshoe and beat Ohio State and kind of manhandled them until Ohio State turned it into 7-7. And then Oregon was like, all right, we can't play this kind of game. And then they just kind of melted the clock out at the end. But I don't know, if you give Ohio State another drive, they were clicking. That quarterback can play. Boy, he can play, man. I like watching them get after it on the offensive side of the ball and their pass rush on the defensive side of the ball. Their defensive line coach is somebody I look up to. Larry Johnson, great man. But when it comes to Miami and that early season win of A&M, and I don't know if you've asked me this, but I've answered this question a lot on my channel. Which game would you much rather win? And I keep saying Clemson, Clemson, Clemson. I understand people want to see Texas A&M. I get it. But it would be way worse to go on like a 10-game win streak and then get to the biggest blocker from us becoming elite and then lose that game again, and then might have to see them again in 2 weeks and see what happens, as opposed to lose an early game to an established program. Hopefully it's respectable. Then go on a 9-game win streak after that and line up with Clemson, beat them in Death Valley for the first time since Randy Shannon was our head coach in 2010, and then see what happens in a championship game after that. Because I believe we play like Duke or something right after them, so it's kind of a win right after them, but they're going to be a real big test.